Welcome to Kicking Tables, everybody. Today we'd like to welcome Pablo Guevara, the creator of Clash of Armies Medieval, an upcoming deck builder game. Pablo, welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, all of you, for inviting me.
You're very welcome. It's good to have you. Why don't you take a minute or two and tell us a bit about your game, like what is it and how does it play?
Okay. Well, the Clash of Arms Medieval, it's a deck builder head-to-head where you start with a small amount of resources and by a market that is shared for both players. It's a two-player game. You buy more powerful cards each round and you try to get a more powerful deck builder, actually. But one of the cool things about the game is that you have to think about both attacks and defense because it has a unique defense system with garrison units that you can also use them for attack on the next turn. So there's a lot of things that are like I always say, it's a deck builder that has a lot of active, but also a lot of passive actions during your turn and your opponent's turn. It's a head-to-head. You have to try to deal enough damage to your opponent to win the game, and that's pretty much it.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
So where did you come up with the idea for Clash of Armies? What were your inspirations behind that?
Well, I began a game on 2016. It was a heavy Euro type wargaming game. I'm a wargaming. I call myself a wargaming guy. So I try to port the wargaming to the board game world, and it became a huge game. Really like. I mean, a lot of people like it. A lot of people play with it. We're still playing with it. But it was like this was a huge map game where you move all your troops between hex tiles and everything.
Yeah.
And when we think that the game was fair enough to release it or doing something with it, we realized that we are from Argentina and we don't have any that much board game experience here. So having that type of game will be impossible. So we're beginning to rip things off. And one of the things about this game is that it was a table game, and it was a part when the armies clash, they went to something that we call theater of war, where you use cards to deal with that point of the game.
Oh,
Well, those
Okay.
interesting.
cards are this game, or those
Oh,
cards are this game. Yeah,
okay. So you've
it was.
taken that piece of your other game and made it a standalone game.
Yeah, well, that was the beginning
The
of
beginning.
this.
Okay.
Then it begins to create a deck builder concept, 100% deck builder concept on it. So that's why I think it has some mechanics that are not really usual on deck builders. Like, for example, garrison units. I use it for defense. While your turn, you have to defend with those units, or you can decide it to no, I will keep it because on the next turn I will try to use it to deal more damage for the combination of the cards. So it's like that's. I think that because of how it begins the game, it ends up in something that is different than the other deck builders that you see around. And there's some influence there because I'm a Dominion fan, and there's some influence in that with that particular mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, deck builders have become quite popular since Dominion came out, 12 years ago now. And what would you say is the unique concept behind your game that really makes it stand out over a traditional deck builder?
Well, the decisions that you have to take on a passive way. You have, for example, fortifications that you can hold units there to protect yourself. Those units are the same one as you use for attack, but they have some defense actions there. And there's also a camp there that allows you to defend yourself but not always, not a mandatory, but you can decide to put units there because you want to have like, well, we try to keep the medieval theme in it, and it's like, okay, I have my fortification, I have my stronghold here, I will have probably a king there and something to create a first defense, but I also have a camp way outside my kingdom that if I need help, I will call them. And they decide in the point that the other player tells you, okay, I will deal you with attack. You will decide in that time if you use it or not for defense, because you can have units there that combine them, but what you have on the deck allows you probably a larger attack. So it's like I say, it has this unique thing that while the other player is thinking, okay, I will deal damage or I will put my units to defend myself on the next turn, you also have to do that decision. During, like I say, there was two things that I love about, I love Dominion, but there were two things that I don't like about it. That one is there was not too many interaction between two players.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And the other one is that while the other players doing their stuff, you are not doing practically anything. So I try to get all those two things and put it on my game. So that's maybe the unique thing about it. This defense and attack system. Well, it's what people stands up about the game. They really like that.
Yeah, so you've really married that deck builder with the strategic, building an army and building not only for offense but for defending yourself as well, and kind of like a Magic the Gathering style. Do I want to keep these or do I want to attack with them? I want to keep them, protect myself, or do I attack with them now, not knowing what your opponent is going to do next turn? There's that bit of strategy in there, which really does add something new to a deck builder for sure.
Yeah, that's what people really like about it. And the other thing is that this whole concept of a mandatory defense with your stronghold and some kind of up to you if you decide to use the camp defense that you also have there, allows you to also expand the concept of the game to you always have defense, but defense in a way that, for example, on all the builders, you will have champions, guards, I don't know, but stations, whatever. But it's like it became in a point that it became like flat because you just put on front of you and say, okay, I'm defense myself. But it's not like there's no strategy in there. So I will use this one for attack also. I will try to keep it defense enough to the other round trying to attack. Well, all that things that sometimes it bothers me on some other games, I decided to put on my game, and it works perfectly.
Yeah,
awesome. So the game is a 2-player game, but I did read that you can add more players with expansions. What kind of expansions are going to be available? How many? What sort of things do the expansions add?
Well, that's one of the particularity of this game is that I say we, but mostly I. But now we're we because we're a team now. But since the beginning of the game, I start develop cars. I have a concept that if I would end up in a point. Okay, I said let's do a core deck, and we end up with these 108 cars, which are the core deck. Yeah. This is the 30-minute gameplay, 1 versus 1, and that's it. So the idea is that everything that I will add, it will not be just throwing more cars to the same, but every single thing that I would add, it will be a new mechanic in it. So because there's almost 4 years playing with this game, I have almost 400 cars developed.
Wow.
Wow.
The game. And what I was trying to do to say, okay, let's get as a stretch goals of Kickstarter, probably the 2 of the 3 most important extensions of the game. So we came up with one that is to expand the game up to 4 players. For that, you will need new cars. I mean, you have the same deck, the same core game, but you also have to add some cars. And the game is this was in the last, I would say in the last 2-3 months, I don't know how to say it, it blooms. It blooms the concept because you start a game playing 1 versus 1 versus 1 versus 1. I mean, 1 against each other.
Right.
But you have some cards that you will start dealing some economical agreement with some other players on diplomat agreements. And those diplomats may be transitionals in a way that it will take some rounds and that's it. But also there's a blood lineage because it's a medieval one. So you can, for example, have a newborn and that newborn will become a princess or a prince, and you can offer that to married in a way to another one. So the game, it beginning one against each other, but it can end 2 versus 2, 3 versus 1, or one each other against each other. So the idea is that it's not like I always see on deck builders. Say, I want to play up to 5. Okay, you need 3 decks and that's it. No, no, no. Here you have to use the concept of these cards that allows you to expand the game.
Right.
That's one of the extensions of the game.
Is the game historically accurate? I believe I read somewhere that you wanted to make this historically accurate. And how important was that to you?
Well, I will not say historically accurate, but I like the idea that it has to be 100% medieval.
Okay.
I mean, I have a huge discussion with one of the artists because he loves dragons and he loves Game of Thrones and he loves all that.
Right.
And maybe in the future, who knows, we can add some magic in there. But the idea was to have a 100% medieval game.
Okay.
By that, we use real name or real historical people. But it doesn't mean that they are strictly accurate in a way that, for example, we use Joan of Arc, but Joan of Arc has as her king, it's Philip II, and it's not the dolphin, that it was real on the real life.
Okay.
But all those guys are there, but it's not 100% accuracy. But what we try to do, I can say that we try to get the essence of the historical character that we use. So it's like, okay, Joan of Arc, what is what is her action?
Right.
Well, she can take cards from the discard pile, which was some way the concept of has Joan of Arc work with their army. So we try to get that essence on the cards. Strict, and it's not historical, I might say. That's why we use 6 factions on the game. You have 6 different type of factions. They're really, I mean, when you read the names, you say, okay, this is the English one, but we don't call it English. We call it royal. Okay. Same happened with the French ones and the Germanic ones. It's like the medieval era take about 1,000 years. So we took character for all those 1,000 years. So
tell us a few of the characters people might recognize.
Well, you have Richard the Lionheart. You will have Robin Locksley. It's not Robin Hood. It's Robin Locksley.
Yep.
You have the Friar Tuck, William Wallace, Joan of Arc. You also have, you may have El Cid, which is a Spanish hero. You also have Isabel, this is the first, also a Spanish queen. There also be their faction units that are not really seen in other games. For example, the Bourgier, which was a special unit from the French, or a Molgabar, it's a special unit from the Spanish guys. And those, you may say that they're historical in a way, because we try to get that essence on what the type of unit it is. The artists take a lot of work when I tell them, okay, I want to use an Amolgabar. Okay, what's that? Oh, let's see. Oh, well, I for example, on the Germanies, I use the Berlochenhaufen units, which are called the Lost Troops. They were shepherds that there was a time that they decided to protect their kingdoms. So we try to get that historical essence, but they're not accuracy. I don't want to say that's accuracy. But you also have, for example, Saladin, Al-Khalim. That's a hero from what we call the Sand faction. Actually, it's the Arabic faction, but we call it Sand. The game has 6 factions, but during your play, you will on a 1 versus 1, you will have to choose 3 of them.
Okay.
So there's a lot of regularity on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, with the subtitle being Clash of Armies Medieval, do you have thoughts of creating other brands of Clash of Armies with not medieval, but like in the future? Is that kind of where you want to go, or?
Well, I think the concept of the game, the mechanic of the game, may work with everything, with every different era of our history. When this game began, the first name of the game was Clash of Medieval Armies.
Oh, okay.
And when we saw that this mechanic works, even though if you don't use any medieval in there, why not just put Clash of Armies, then medieval?
Right.
So
Yeah.
if we want to use, I don't know, we want to talk about the Persian War, why not say Clash of Armies? I don't know, ancestral armies,
Right.
to say something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we changed, we made that slight change on the name because we saw that this may, why not Clash of Armies Star Wars or Clash of Armies?
Nice.
I mean,
Nice.
the mechanic works. I mean, the mechanic works. It works no matter in which theme you put it, it will work. So
Okay.
that's why we changed that. We make that little change. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
I don't. I want all this game to be released. I don't want 10,000 games to be released. But if it succeeds, why not?
Sure. Sure. I mean, yeah, you want to leave it open for future
Yeah.
possibilities. Absolutely.
Uh,
Now, if somebody misses your Kickstarter, which starts on October 25th, so it's coming up fast. If somebody misses the Kickstarter, will they be able to get it in retail? What are your plans after the Kickstarter and after fulfillment?
Well, the idea of the Kickstarter is to it was a way to get to the international market. I mean, I'm from Argentina. Having my game on international, it's kind of difficult. So we figured out that Kickstarter is going to be the way, the window that I can show
Mm,
my game to the world. And yes, the idea is once we are there, we're really interested in publish or distribute or whatever it calls. In every place it's called different. I mean, I present this game on the UK game show about a month ago, and people from Arabia, Saudi Arabia, and people from North Korea, South Korea, contact me about the game, and they're interested in. So
very nice.
I'm open to once this is done, I'm open to everything. I mean, this game may have a different way, a concept that you usually see on games. For example, I'm the creator of the game, but when I last year I went to Essen because I have a friend of mine that is do wargaming painting.
Okay.
So we already playing this game with Tabletop Simulator. He's from Germany, and he told me, "Why don't you come to Essen and show the game on our booth and see how it works?" So I have that. I made copies. All the media of the cards were stolen from the internet, and I was there. I showed the game to everyone, and everyone seems to like it. A lot of people like it actually. So I get back to Argentina and decided to make the production of the game, but I want to have the quality that the game has, but I don't have the money to do it.
Right.
So I came up with an idea that is showing my idea to some illustrator Facebook group, not board games ones, illustrators. And I told them, well, this is my game. I have this idea, and blah, 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 and everything. And two or three artists decided to take the leap and take the step with me, and so we became partners on the game.
Nice.
Very
So
cool.
they developed
Yeah.
so this mechanic, it it turns out that it's pretty cool. So why not to do it, for example, in another languages? So I open the game to, I'm sorry about that. I open the game to another languages, and I get people from Russia, from Spain, from Portugal. Actually, the game right now is translated in 9 languages.
Wow. Good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So,
So
so
the game will be on Kickstarter October 25th, so it's
yeah.
coming up fast. You know, it sounds great. We both love deck builders, but I love the extra mechanic you've thrown in there. It sounds like you've got a great game on your hands, Pablo. And you know what? We thank you for coming on the show and telling us about it, and good luck with your campaign at the end of October.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we expect to be the beginning of the Clash of Armies era. We hope so.
I hope so too.
So,
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah. Thank
thank
you.
you, son. Thank you all.